now that he's free. Leonardo José Colmenares Solorzano, a 31-year-old Venezuelan, wants the world to know that he was tortured over 4 months in a Salvadoran prison. He said guards stomped on his hands, poured filthy water into his ears, and threatened to beat him if he didn't kneel alongside other inmates and lick their backs. Now that he's free. Juan José Ramos, 39, insists he's not who former President Donald Trump says he is. He's not a member of a gang or an international terrorist. Just a man with tattoos whom immigration agents spotted riding in a car with a Venezuela sticker on the back. Now that he's free. Andriomar Blanco Bonilla, 40, said he wondered every day of his time in prison whether he'd ever hold his mother in his arms again. He struggles to make sense of why he and other men were put through that ordeal. We are a group of people who I consider had the bad luck of ending up on this black list, he said. These are accounts shared by some of the more than 230 Venezuelan men the Trump administration deported on March 15 to a maximum security prison in El Salvador known as CECOT. The administration used blanket statements and exaggerations that obscured the truth about who they are. Trump hailed the removal as a signature achievement of his first 100 days in office and a demonstration of his mass deportation campaign, assuring the public that the men sent to El Salvador were monsters, savages, and the worst of the worst. Few cases have gotten as much attention. They were deported against the instructions of a federal judge. Frog marched off American planes and forced to kneel before cameras and have their heads shaved. The administration rebuffed requests to provide information about the allegations. The deportees were held without access to lawyers. Then, 12 days ago, they were returned to Venezuela in a prisoner swap. Now that they're home, they've begun to talk. Interviews with 9 men reveal bewilderment, fear, anger. All said they were abused physically and mentally. Their relatives went through hell wondering if their loved ones were alive. All said they were relieved to be free, though some said their release was proof the U.S. had no reason to send them to prison. Blanco, for example, has no U.S. criminal record. His only violation was entering the country illegally. He'd arrived in December 2023 and turned himself into immigration in Texas to request asylum. He was released. Afterward, Blanco moved to Dallas and found work. In February 2024, he accompanied his cousin to an immigration and customs enforcement appointment. He decided to notify an address change. Upon leaving, an agent stopped him and asked about his tattoos, including a blue rose and a father hugging his son. He said they signified his family, not a gang. Officials detained him. A judge ordered deportation, but Venezuela wasn't accepting deportees. He was released 7 months later. Under the new Trump administration, ICE detained him again. A month later, he was on a plane to El Salvador. From the moment I realized I was in El Salvador and that I would be detained, it was anguish. I was shaken. It hit me hard, 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 he said. Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act. He declared the men were all part of a Venezuelan prison gang called Tren de Aragua. Reports soon indicated not all deportees were hardened criminals. Administration officials dismissed the reports, claiming deportees were threats regardless of U.S. records. To examine claims. News Pulse. The Texas Tribune and Venezuelan journalists launched an investigation into the 238 men's backgrounds. A database revealed the administration knew at least 197 had no U.S. criminal convictions. Nearly half had open immigration cases. At least 166 had tattoos, which experts said aren't proof of gang membership. When asked for comment for this story, a White House spokesperson called News Pulse a liberal rag hell-bent on defending violent criminal illegal aliens. A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said, "Once again, the media is falling all over themselves to defend criminal illegal gang members." The men said, "Terror in El Salvador began upon landing. Salvadoran police force shackled men off planes, shoving them, throwing them to the ground, hitting them with batons. 5 saw flight attendants crying. This will teach you not to enter our country illegally," Colmenares said one ICE official told him. Guards stripped them to white boxers and sandals. Men refusing head shaves were beaten. Blanco, hearing screams, complied. Head down, body limp. Shackles were so tight Blanco couldn't walk fast enough. Guards beat him until he passed out, then dragged him. His head banged the floor. "God, why am I here?" he asked. Beatings were random, severe, constant. Guards lashed with fists, batons, boots, shot rubber pellets at close range. Colmenares saw one man defecate after a beating. Guards laughed. Psychological abuse was vicious. They lost track of days. Mockery was constant. Guards repeatedly called them criminals, terrorists, sons of bitches who deserved prison, telling them no one cared. Men waged hunger strikes, demanding an end to abuses and an explanation. "They told us nothing about the process. What would happen? When we'd see a judge or attorney," Ramos said. Several contemplated suicide. "I'd rather die or kill myself than to keep living through this experience. Being woken up every day at 4 a.m. to be insulted and beaten for wanting to shower. Hearing your brothers getting beaten. Crying for help," Ramos said. 4 men described someone cutting himself and writing messages in blood. "Stop hitting us. We are fathers. We are brothers. We are innocent people." Some formed bonds, making cards from juice boxes, dice from tortillas. They prayed. After 3.5 months, conditions changed. Beatings reduced. Given ibuprofen, antibiotics, toothbrushes, told to shave and shower. A psychologist evaluated them. Sometime after midnight on July 18, guards began banging on cell bars. "Everyone take a shower." A guard finally told Blanco the time. 1:40 a.m. Photographers and reporters entered. Blanco vowed no smiles for cameras. A top Salvadoran official announced, "You are leaving." El Salvador's vice president denied mistreatment and cited videos of unscathed men as proof. He declined to comment on any U.S. role. However, Salvadoran records indicated the men remained under U.S. jurisdiction while in prison. The U.S. pledged millions to El Salvador to hold them. A State Department spokesperson said the U.S. was not responsible for detention conditions and is not involved now. Ramos found solace in the Bible. Drawn to the Book of Job, he saw his ordeal as a divine test overcome by faith. When family learned he was coming home to Guataya, they helped decorate and prepare a meal. "Knowing no one had forgotten us was the best gift," he said. Effects linger. Ramos struggles reading the Bible. He suspects a guard beating damaged his left eye. He lacks money for a doctor. He arrived home with only his prison clothes. He is sure he'll find a way. He has faith.